Coverage of the January nor'easter turns to local public works crews out on the roads. Now, Western Mass News reporter Paris Dunford joins us live from Chicopee with how they're preparing for the storm. Paris?
Hey, David. Yeah, you might be able to see the massive pile of salt behind me. We've watched trucks fill up with it all morning. Now, here in Chicopee, they are pre-treating those roads with this salt that's coated in a de-icing agent. Crews have been working around the clock. Now, they start at 7 tonight and will be all hands on deck for this snowfall. Superintendent Elizabeth Botello says all the DPW crews and contractors will start tonight and will go until tomorrow to make sure the roads are clear.
Once we get it between 2 to 3 inches, we'll call in everybody because we have 2 teams for salt. So everybody will come in for plowing, including contractors, our subcontractors, once we've got around 3 inches of snow.
Now, we'll be checking in with other cities' DPWs to see their plans, to their preparations, as well as their parking bans. So you want to be sure to tune in tonight on Western Mass News. For now, reporting live in Chicopee, Paris Dunford for Western Mass News.
All right, Paris, thank you so much for that live report. Meanwhile, switching gears to coronavirus, the COVID-19 testing site at the Eastville Mall in Springfield will be closed tomorrow due to this weekend's expected snowfall. A spokesperson with the American Response tells Western Mass News they'll resume COVID-19 testing on Sunday morning. Appointments aren't necessary for the site, but they are strongly encouraged. And sticking on the COVID front, Western Mass News is getting answers after a viewer reached out to us wondering about the vaccine site at Tech Park in Springfield. She asked, is the COVID vaccine site at Tech Park closing? She added that there are no appointments after this week. Now, we reached out to the officials at the vaccine site who told us there are no changes. Springfield will remain open and they are adding appointments now. When we asked if they were planning to close, officials said no, not at this time. Turning now to new information out of Northampton, where a shelter-in-place order was lifted at Smith College this morning after a hoax bomb threat on campus. According to college officials, Northampton police received an anonymous report on multiple explosive devices in Burton Hall, which prompted an emergency alert to be sent out. Shortly after, campus safety received a report of unidentified individual potentially dropping and then walking away from an object on campus. Both reports were investigated and police say no threats were found. The Northampton Police Detective Bureau and Massachusetts State Police will now conduct a follow-up investigation to determine the source of the initial call. And moving over to Greenfield, where crews are still working to repair a large water main break. Police posting this announcement on their Facebook page earlier this morning. They say the break is located near 244 Country Club Road. The road has since been closed overnight. Still no word on when it will reopen, so if you are headed in that direction, be sure to plan accordingly. And 3 people were hospitalized following a car crash on Boston Road in Springfield yesterday afternoon. Witnesses we spoke with say that one car was driving at a high rate of speed, and now neighbors say more needs to be done to keep their roads safe. One man who lives on the road says he'd like to see a larger police presence. And right now, the Springfield Police Department's Detective Bureau is seeking the public's help identifying 3 suspects in connection with the destruction of property of the 911 monument at Riverfront Park. They say on January 20th at around 1:30 p.m., these 3 suspects on your screen appear to vandalize the lightning attached to the monument and the monument itself. If you have any information on these suspects, you're asked to contact Springfield Police. Meanwhile, we are continuing to follow developing news as police are investigating the second officer involved shooting happening in the city of Springfield just this month. This afternoon, one officer is recovering from his injuries, and the suspect is in the hospital with serious injuries. Police say just after midnight Thursday, the state police gaming enforcement unit was called to the State Street near the MGM Springfield Casino after a man was denied entry after security found shell casings in his backpack. State police officers say they found the 24-year-old Springfield man who then shot a flare gun in an alley, hitting a Springfield police officer in the hand. Troopers say the suspect then ran into the parking garage of MGM, firing more shots from his flare gun. There, he was shot by at least one officer. Western Mass News spoke with Springfield Mayor Dominic Sarno to find out his take on the incident.
My thoughts and prayers and encouragement, speedy recovery to our brave and dedicated police officers, especially the one that was hit with a dangerous weapon. I'm so proud of each and every one of them, the brave efforts, professionalism they put forth on making sure that this individual didn't perpetuate more harm or worse to our public. The families that are affected here, you don't want to see this happen anywhere.
Mayor Sarno says he will let the body camera footage speak for itself, as it did in the recent case involving the death of Orlando Taylor III. The Hamden District Attorney will determine if the use of force was justified. And now to a shootout with police in Houston, a suspect opening fire and wounding 3 officers, then carjacking a Mercedes at gunpoint and then fleeing the scene, barricading himself in a home for hours. It comes amid a nationwide spread of gun violence against police officers. Western Mass News correspondent Rena Roy has the latest.
New video shows the moments a gunman opened fire in Houston Thursday, shooting 3 police officers before carjacking a Mercedes at gunpoint.
Mercedes! He just carjacked a white Mercedes!
Authorities say the chaos began when those officers responded to a disturbance call, the suspect spotting them, then speeding away in a dark gray sports car. You see him crash, then open fire in surveillance video obtained by ABC station KTRK.
There's an officer down. There's an officer down out there.
The suspect then taking off in that stolen Mercedes, barricading himself in a home for hours, allegedly firing again at police before eventually surrendering.
Walked out of the house with his hands up. He had an apparent gunshot wound to the neck. He's been transported to the hospital.
Police say the pistol used may have been modified to fire like a machine gun. The Houston area was already mourning Corporal Charles Galloway, who was fatally shot last weekend by a different suspect.
I'm damn tired of it. And we need to stand up as a community and do whatever we got to do.
In Milwaukee Thursday night, police say a man shot an officer, then stole his patrol car before crashing. He and the 3 Houston officers are all expected to be okay.
And here in New York, the city is mourning 2 NYPD officers who were shot and killed in the line of duty last week. Jason Rivera is being laid to rest today. His partner Wilbert Mora's funeral is scheduled for next week. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And coming up, several people are injured after a bridge collapse in Pittsburgh. This as President Biden was set to be in the city to discuss infrastructure. More on his timely visit straight ahead. And Amazon workers are demanding more safety measures. Details behind this rally in St. Louis.
All right, welcome back, everybody. The time right now is 12:12, and we continue to talk about this powerful storm system that's going to move up the coast. Well, it's almost go time. We have about another 12 hours or so I think the steady stuff moves in around midnight tonight. It'll be light at first, and then it will slowly ramp up overnight tonight. And really, the show is going to be during the day tomorrow. Right now, actually not a bad day at all. I mean, yes, we have plenty of clouds, but in terms of being comfortable, we have a temperature of 33, and there's hardly any wind out there, so not nearly as frigid as it was yesterday. Plenty of 30s across the area as the air mass in general is moderating. Look at the radar and you say, okay, well, it's snowing already. We could have a few flurries, maybe a snow shower this afternoon here or there. Might even whiten the ground in a town or two, but this, for the most part, is all drying up. This is more or less not part of our storm system. You know, the air mass is moderating, but we've been talking about how it's going to be plenty cold enough, and the snow is going to be light and fluffy, and tomorrow is going to be frigid while it's snowing out. The reason being, look at the cold air. It's not that far away. It's 13 in Burlington, 3 in Ottawa, and as our storm system blows up into a powerhouse storm offshore, it's going to be pulling down that cold air from Canada and from aloft. So while it's snowing tomorrow, it'll be in the teens. And this is going to be taking up a lot of real estate, really from the Virginia shoreline all the way up into Maine. We have winter storm watches, warnings, and we have blizzard warnings is what I'm trying to say as well. Eastern Mass, Rhode Island, even parts of New Jersey and parts of Maine. We're going to be right on the back edge of some of that heavy snowfall, but I think we're going to get involved in it during the day tomorrow. So a powerful storm system, a major winter storm for millions of folks as it comes up the coast. Nothing unusual about that, right? When these storms do affect lots of territory. Some areas will pick up over 2 feet. I don't think that'll be here in Western Mass, but along the shorelines, especially Eastern Mass, big snowfall differences from west to east. Albany might not get much at all. Boston could get over 2 feet. We lie right in the middle, so we're expecting moderate to major snowfall amounts. Springfield East and Western Mass is where the highest snow totals look to line up. It's a cold storm, so it'll be light and fluffy. The thing about that, though, is it really does pile up quickly. So this brings us into the overnight tonight. 1, 2 in the morning, we'll have some very light snow beginning to break out. It'll overspread the area pretty quickly, and then it will ramp up as the overnight goes on. The breeze will start to pick up as well, and as we go through the day to tomorrow, we're going to be dealing with that snowfall. Notice the darker shades of blue. This is where it'll be snowing 3-4 inches per hour out across eastern parts of Massachusetts, but we'll have some of those heavier snow bands as well, especially in eastern Hampden and Hampshire County. It won't really start to wind down probably till around dark tomorrow. It's going to be windy too. Winds will gust about 35 miles per hour, while along the shoreline, winds could gust 60, 70 miles per hour out across the Cape, and then the storm system will depart. It should be done before midnight tomorrow night, and then Sunday, it's back to sunshine. So 6 to 12 up and down the valley. Keep in mind, things can change, right? We're still talking about a short distance. We have the big changes in snow totals. Eastern Hampden, Hampshire County, at least a foot, perhaps more, up to 18 inches. And the further west you go, Berkshire County, western parts of Franklin County, 3 to 6. The bullseye still looks to be Rhode Island, Eastern Mass, perhaps up over 2 feet of snow there. A little bit less on the Cape, but still over a foot. Just the snow will be heavier, being wet, and they actually may mix at the onset. We do have those winter storm warnings and winter watches in effect. Keep in mind, a winter storm warning means that we're expecting 6 inches of snow in a 12-hour period, or 18 in a 20, or 8, I should say, in a 12-hour period. I think we'll probably be able to do that, at least in eastern parts of Hampden, Hampshire County. By the way, blizzard, what that means is visibility is less than a quarter of a mile while the snow is either blowing, so it doesn't actually have to be snowing, it just can be blowing or falling. So obviously, the harder it snows, the lower the visibility, and sustained winds of 35 miles per hour or gusts, frequent gusts up over 35 miles per hour. Probably not that criteria here in Western Mass, but it's going to be stormy enough. And by the way, tomorrow, while it's snowing, notice temperatures in the teens, but when you factor in the wind tomorrow, it's going to feel like it's right around 0. So a bitterly cold day tomorrow as well. For us, it really is all about the snow. We are going to have some wind, but since the snow is light and powdery, it doesn't glom onto things. So we're not overly concerned about power outages. But you know, when you have a wind gust of 40, that could bring down or cause an isolated power outage, maybe bringing down a tree or branch. But I think it would be isolated here in Western Mass. But keep in mind, be careful when you're out and about, right? And you're shoveling and working hard tomorrow. Doing that, it's going to be cold while you're doing it. So temperatures only in the teens. It'll feel cold in that. So again, power outage risk in Western Mass is low. More or less, it's a good old-fashioned snowstorm for us. So hunker down tomorrow. It should end tomorrow evening. Back to sunshine Sunday, cleanup day, blustery and chilly, and a nice little moderating trend begins next week, especially as we go into February. We could be well into the 40s come the middle of next week, maybe even 50. All right, that's your forecast. Another look at weather coming up in a few minutes. David, back over to you.